Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very special MCon Live. Why are we here this evening? Well, it's somebody's birthday. Who's the coolest cat in town? Who could it possibly be? Welcome to a happy birthday with Danny John-Jules. Happy birthday, sir!
Thank
how
you
are
very
you?
much. I'm very well, as you can see. I'm just going to pour my first drink for this hour.
Good. Has it been a good day so far?
Oh yeah, I went and met some mates this morning. Had breakfast in the cafe, and then I had afternoon tea with my mum, my brother, and my sister. Then I went out. Then I went out for dinner with the missus and the kids, and I've just got back now. In time for this.
Celebrate with us. Perfect,
yeah,
sir.
It's a milestone.
And tell the audience at home, how old are you today?
I am the big 60.
And how old is that in cat years?
That's about 200 years. We
Well,
don't do birthdays because we have so many of them. And you know that they say it's a milestone. Why is everyone like worried when they say it's a milestone? It could be a gallstone.
Well, let's hope you haven't got any of those, and we'll keep hitting these milestones with you. We've got a lot of messages coming through already. Happy birthday from Drew.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, Danny.
Yeah,
Ellis
lovely.
Carter, happy birthday, Danny. Going to get a lot of love tonight. Chris Vaughan.
Thank
Little Images
you.
sending happy birthday smile formalies. Okay, so we have.
Look,
sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So we've got some videos for you of some messages that have already been sent in for you.
Oh, lovely. I better sit on the cushion, get comfortable.
Definitely sit back, get comfortable, and get ready for a lot of love.
How about that? Holy crap!
Hey Dan, it's Graham Hoskins. It's been a long time, buddy. I hope you're staying safe through these crazy times. Happy birthday, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Cheers.
Cheers, Graham. Now, you're talking about cushion, right? Our first ride was 7,000 miles, 16 countries in 16 days. Yeah. And I wish I had that cushion then. It was called the Iron Butts Challenge. About day 3, it was bad enough just sitting on the bike. Never mind doing 600 miles that day.
Not saying you'll do it again anytime soon. Then.
And he's had his hips replaced, both hips replaced twice. So I couldn't moan.
You can't argue with that, can you?
No.
I
was just sadly a sort of guy following him, really.
But a memorable experience, though. I bet,
mate. When we left the Middle East, literally, things were getting rocketed behind us. I remember seeing the hotel we stayed in Syria, and I remember watching news at 10 and seeing it being rocketed in the square.
That's just unbelievable.
Me and Graham were staying in there. It's nuts.
We have another video coming up for you now, sir.
Hey, Danny. Happy birthday, mate. Been an awfully long time since we were running around in a forest together. Not quite so long since you were running around on a beach in Guadeloupe with my wife. I should declare that she was directing you in Death in Paradise and you hadn't actually run away with my wife. Anyway, I've gone off the subject. Happy birthday. Have a great night and hope to see you again sometime soon. Take care, mate.
Nice one, Mark. Wow.
Proper legend.
He's famous, mate. He's big, isn't he? He's like best-selling crime author. And, imagine he went from writing Maid Marian with Tony Robinson to becoming a best-selling author. I remember going past Brent Cross one day and I was driving along and there was about a 100-foot billboard with his latest book on it. Nearly crashed.
So he's getting the next video set up for us now.
Mark Billingham. And his wife directed me in Death in Paradise. Unbelievable. And brought me a signed copy of his new book.
Was it a good book?
Shh.
And there's Mark on Maid Marian, one of the One of the best TV shows for children of all time.
Oh, mate, what a laugh did we have on that show? I mean, those guys were. I mean, it was just, they was. You know, if Tony Robinson asks, you know, a couple of guys to write with him, then, you know, you can imagine what the set was like with those two guys, you know.
Yeah.
Having the writers actually in the cast as well, you know.
That helps, though. That helps that they can fix things on the day, work with things, go with things. That more collaborative process must be so much better and more natural.
Well, I've been lucky that all the shows that I've appeared in have had ensemble casts, you know, and when you've got an ensemble cast, everybody mucks in instead of sort of, you know, sitting in their trailer and, you know, sort of coming out just that fashionably late kind of thing. Whereas I'm totally unfashionably late.
You're on cat time, it's fine. Okay,
Well,
we have another video.
I've got a character that does that for me.
Very true. Okay, the next video is coming up for you now.
Hey, Danny. Greetings from a wet field in Yorkshire. Just a little message to say happy birthday, mate.
Yes, I.
4 great years with you on Death in Paradise. I consider you a great friend. I think you look amazing for 106. But don't worry, I'm not going to tell anyone your secret is safe with me. Love to you and all your family. Have a brilliant day. And in the words of the late, great Felix Dexter, niceness. Cheers, man.
Niceness. Chris Marshall, legend. Always gets in touch when he comes to London. And, you know, as I said, the guy, again, an ensemble piece, you know, that, you know, I remember the first day on Death in Paradise, on his Death in Paradise's first day, and we read episode 1. And then, you know, it was, you know, head for the tea urn. And Chris was so humble. And, you know, if he came up to me, the first thing he said to me was, right, Dan, you're going to show me the ropes, aren't you? I mean, when the leading man comes in like that, you know, everyone tends to, you know, go the extra mile. And that's basically how our relationship started. I mean, it can't really go downhill from there, can it?
No, which is a good thing, though, as well. That he has that respect for you guys, that he's coming into something new and he works with you instead of just saying, I'm the new guy, here I start. It's good.
Well, you know,
okay.
I mean, you can see that completely two different characters, Ben and Chris, but, you know, once that machine's going, you know, it doesn't really, you know, you can't separate them. It's just the detective, you know, they become the detective rather than, oh, the third detective or the second detective, you know. Because everyone's played it different.
Yeah, and it's nice that it brought different energy to the show. Yeah. And it wasn't the same character every time. An English guy a bit out of water. It's slightly different each time, but it worked well. The transition was really positive. And the next video for you is...
Happy birthday, Danny. Hope you're having a wicked time. Happy birthday to you. Yeah!
Oh, my days. It's Glenn. Oh, God. Glenn. This, you know what? We need about 4 episodes to do him alone. Yeah, I mean, he's an enigma, that boy. I've known him for 40 years. I met him on my second job. You know, 2 sort of numpties in a seaside village. You know, we were the only 2 people in Hastings with roller skates, and we used to just hammer up and down the promenade. And every now and then he'd take a break and dive off the pier.
Why is it most of your friends seem to dive into places? We have Chris Marshall diving into ponds in Death in Paradise. Yeah. You've got him diving into thing. Is everyone just trying to dive away from you?
Well, because I keep meeting them in dives.
Okay, so we have we've run out of video messages, but we have some some fabulous friends of yours who wanted to spend the evening with you. So first up, we have the incredible Mike Edmonds.
Mike, legend. Mikey, man. Oh, man, it's so good to see you.
60 years old. You're antique, man.
Mike, you were 60 when I met you.
I am.
You were 60 when I met you.
Now, 76.
76. Do you know what? I was just talking about you, about your documentary and how many amazing people are in it. I mean, I've seen bigger stars with less people talking about them than you. I mean, you had every major. Terry Gilliam, he doesn't go and talk on shows about people he likes, except you.
Well,
I mean, who else was on there? What's that guy? Colin Firth. I mean, I've never seen him in an interview, never mind blowing smoke up you.
Yeah, I worked with him on a series. Yeah.
You've worked with good actors.
I only worked with good actors.
It went all pear-shaped when you met me.
Wow.
Well, tell him what you used to call me. What actor did you used to call me?
Various names.
Yeah, but what was
on here?
Which PG friendly names do we have for Danny?
Well, his favourite name for me was Sydney Porter Potty.
I used to have all sorts of names.
Yeah. Oh, mate, he used to
but we had a great. I tell you, it wasn't work. It was just a great fun, wasn't it?
Mike, I tell you what, I've never. Well, I can't say that I've never laughed so much, because I can't laugh a lot on every job I do, because I've been lucky to land in jobs with just loads and loads and loads of very funny people. And you is probably one of the funniest. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever been driven around in a car by a little person. But you see, he laughed already, because the story is funny for us as soon as we mention
I was the only guy who nearly turned him white.
Mate, I tell you what, white is polite. But I tell you what, I think I went a few different shades.
Yeah.
He's got a Mazda. Yeah, well, he had a Mazda. What was it? A Mazda, right?
I forget now. Yeah.
Anyway, it was red, right?
Yeah, it's a sports one.
A small red vehicle.
The Opel Manta. That's what it was.
So I went from a big red ship to a small red car. Right? So anyway, you know what the lanes are like in Somerset, right? So when you're driving down the road, right, there is no way for someone to pass you unless you both go in the bushes. Yeah. So we get down this lane and he's in this Mazda. The first thing, of course, when you get into a car with a little person, you look at the pedals. I'm going to be upfront and honest. Don't try and say you don't, because you do, because they've been adapted for him. So, I'd never seen them. So, that thing about, so I'm sitting there trying to be, discreet about looking at his pedals, that one when you're sort of leaning in like that. And he's thinking, what's he doing? He's like, what are we doing? Like, get off me, like, kind of thing. And then I'm thinking, I'm just looking to see if he can reach the brake. All right. So anyway, it's all good. So he starts driving. Well, in about 5 seconds, we were doing about 80 miles an hour down this lane. Foliage hitting me in the face, coming through the windows. That's how tight it was. The grip in the seat. Man, I've never been in a car with him since.
We got there though, didn't we?
Yeah, we got there. I was kind of like a bit fraggled, but we did get there.
And talking about transport and people piloting, our next guest this evening is the ever amazing Queen of Red Dwarf, Holly herself, Hattie Hayridge.
Ah,
happy birthday, Danny!
Hattie!
I'm reenacting the last day, which
I'll tell you what, after a few more of these, it will be the last day. You know what? It's funny because I thought if I'd have known you was coming on, I would have got a few. I would have got a few more sort of sparkly bits because I know you like your sparkles.
Not a bit of sparkle.
Yeah.
You don't need any extra sparkle, Danny. You're just Mr. Sparkle.
Until you get in the room.
I'm not Mr. Sparkle. Then.
Talking about cars, right? Another car story. Hattie, tell them what car you used to drive.
An old Wolsey 1800.
Right.
Do you know what? I reckon. I was thinking today, it was like, I think it was very much like this week, the thing of this week, when I was driving Craig and the other lister back from the studio. You know, what was that episode?
Jake Abrahams.
We had a spare. And I had a cold. I've been stuck in cough sweets all day, and I was driving like at 60 in a 40-mile-an-hour thing because I thought it was a 60, and I got stopped by the police. And he like walks over and looks through the window. He goes, "Ah, it's Holly." He goes, and Craig was sitting next to me. He goes, "Ah, and it's Lister." And Craig went, "Oh, we got another Lister in the back." And went, "Another Lister." And then the other gentleman from the car, yeah, he turned up. He didn't know anything about Red Wolf, so they started having a kind of row, like, "What you doing?" And and he just hit my roof of my old Wolsey and went, "Well, if you can drive Red Wolf, you can drive this old banger," and let me go.
I just remembered, you know, when I was getting a lift from the studio one or some gig or something. No, it was a convention, and I remember getting in it, and you know, and when you get in a car like that, why does everyone go like this? Ooh.
Red leather armchair seats.
It always reminds you of being a kid, doesn't it? Because you never wanted to be in the car. You know?
I never had a car when I was a kid.
Exactly.
As the conversation.
Well, it didn't look like a kiddie's car. It looked like a noddy car.
Yeah. One of them little going roundabout ones.
So you see,
as we've been talking about cars, sorry, I'll interrupt. We have our final guest, who's a bit of a petrol head himself. Everyone knows him as Arnold Judas Rimmer.
Hey.
From the amazing Red Dwarf, Mr. Britus, Mr. Chris Barry.
Danny John-Jules, sir.
Carmita. Mr. Barathone.
How are you, dear boy?
I'm very well, sir. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Here's to your good health. I think you've reached a similar landmark to the one I've reached.
Yes, but I didn't cry.
Yes, I've got over that. I've got over all that.
And if I did, I certainly wouldn't tell you, Chris.
What are you drinking, by the way? That looks rather nice.
This is a little bit of Laurent Perrier Rosé, Mr. Barry.
Hey.
I'm afraid you can't get it in your little Rabbles off license down in your village, sir. You know, with all the bloody winos outside.
Do you know, it's actually the better half's favourite drink.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
And there's to the lady herself, a lady with class and taste.
Indeed, buddy. I'm slumming it on the glue that's holding this shit show of 2020 together.
Well, you know what? It could be urine recite, mate.
How are you doing, Dan?
Chris,
so what's
as we were talking about car, right?
Yeah.
Stories. So just done one with Mike and Hattie. What was we've got two car stories. One was me and Chris drove up to Glasgow in his, I think it was an XJ6 with
1983
twin fuel tank. So there's me thinking, great, we're not going to run out of petrol, you know. I mean, this has got the tank ability of a jumbo 747, you know.
Oh yeah,
so petrol was good. I think we were on the way back. We stopped at the petrol station, and do you remember?
Yeah.
And I just, you know, that one. We're in Glasgow, right? Like, and I'm like, no, we. And then all of a sudden, this big old, what was it, a straight six or a V12?
Twin overhead cam straight six, yeah.
There you go. When that bad boy got into life again, you've never seen two happy lovies than these two.
Slightly dodgy ignition amplifier, I think.
The second one, I'm going to Wrexham. We're going to Wales Comic Con, and I'm hacking down the road. I'm about, I don't know, 12 miles from the do. Tire blows out. It's a Sunday, right? And I'm sitting on this road near a roundabout thinking, what am I going to do now? Oh, yeah, Chris Barry's going there. Let me phone Chris. Chris, where are you? He mentions the name of the road. And I said, great, I'm on that road. And I goes, I'm just by the petrol station. He goes, oh, I'm about 10 miles down the road. Anyway, he does the reluctant turnaround in his blue Defender, big shag the road Jeep, you know. And all I see was this flat tweed cap, looking out of a window coming down the other way like this. So I'll do it. So all you saw was this. Anyway, goes round and roundabout, comes back, gets out the car. The first thing he says, Danny, why don't you get a decent car? Right? I'm in a smart car. No spare wheel.
Exactly. I saw the smart car and thought, God, if he told me he was in a smart car, I might have thought twice about this.
Well, you see what I mean? But, you know, that shake of the head, Danny, why don't you get a decent car?
Danny. Yeah, they're not doing glorified hairdryer, for God's sake, you know?
I know. But it was just that look, you know, when you haven't got an answer to whatever he says, you know you haven't got the answer. And that walk, that slow Ace Rimmer walk, you know, that sort of, you know, I'm in the best car in the world walk. Oh, Danny, get yourself a decent car, Milado. You know.
Well,
so that's my two Chris Barry stories of cars.
The rubber on a smart car tire is sort of, I don't know, about a sort of a 16th of the rubber on my Avon Range Masters on the good old Defender.
Well, it's like an elastic band compared to what we all driving, but yeah, no, anyway, great. Everyone here.
That can't have been your only car, Danny. You used to have quite flash cars. Because I remember when I was driving my Wolsey 1800, you and Chris used to go flying past me on that bit at the. I've forgotten everything since lockdown. It was bad enough before. Yeah. On that A3 bump by the power station, by the water pumping station.
Yeah. That was where everybody used to go on the flyover.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a bit leery on there. I remember going past there one day. I'm driving along, right? And I went past Chris, right? He was on, I think it was a BSA, you know, old cafe racer, right? He had the fur, you know, the coat with the fur collar like the airline pilot. Ace Rimmer on a BSA.
Yeah.
He had the George Formby helmet.
Living the dream.
He had the George Formby helmet on with the goggles. And of course, you know what it's like when you're driving a BSA. It looks like they're having a nervous breakdown. Going down the A316, thinking it's the M1 because it's shaking your brain out. So I drove past him and he did the Rimmer salute.
And then I nearly crashed and had to sort of straighten up the bar, didn't I? Yeah.
Oh,
no, a BSA 650 Thunderbolt, 1970. There you go.
Mate, and I'll tell you what, you know, when I was driving down the road and I heard this rattling, I thought it was my car. Yeah, you know that one, and I'm driving, and all I could hear is. I'm looking, thinking, what the hell was that? And I looked, and it was Chris Barry on a BSA.
Yep. Good old rattly parallel twin, lovely.
You still got it?
Yeah,
I don't have that anymore. No. I've got plenty of other ones that rattle just as much.
Hey, Danny, didn't you
still had it
when we was in Somerset, Danny?
Sorry, say that again, mate.
You had a Jeep when
I had a Vitara Jeep. You know that one? That's when you know that those Jeeps that all these lovies drive around in, absolutely useless. And I tell you how I found out. Porlock Hill.
But do you remember
4-wheel drive? Right, they said it was a 4-wheel drive, and it is, but it's not a Porlock Hill 4-wheel drive, because when you get up Porlock Hill, if you think you've got a 4-wheel drive, by the time you get about a 10th of the way up, you realise you haven't.
That's right.
They're the guy.
Do you remember when you and I used to go through Minehead and they used to look at us both when we got out of the car?
Well, you had a little person, a Rastafarian.
Yeah.
We look like the oddest gay couple in the world. But the thing was, they were looking at us. You could see it going through their mind. The first thing was, what could those two possibly have in common?
Yeah,
and, you know, the answer's very simple: a BBC TV show. I mean, that's the only time you'd see us two together. Hey, oh, look, there it is. Oh my days! You can tell how old that car is just by the trousers I'm wearing. Oh man, alive! Goodness me! Ladbroke Grove in the early 90s. Yeah, that was about 91, 92, that was.
Yeah.
Lovely. How about that? I mean, but that wasn't like, I mean, come on, that was mild compared to Craig's green and mustard Rolls Royce.
I think were they non-standard wheels on the Vitara there? Did you bling them up a bit?
Yeah, no, they were 10, was it 10 inch? 10 inch low
quite
profile, you know, all of that. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is that, you know, it was lowered and all of that. It's all very well, you know, but after a while, you know, the old lumbago, mate, with those cars, you know, like the dun, 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 every bump, you know, dun, it looks great, but there's no suspension, as Chris will tell you.
Well, there was a Vitara in this family as well, but and it was a good car, to be honest. It was. It did the job.
I can't grumble. It, you know, it took a lot of stick, and it really never broke down. It never broke down.
I like things that are sort of a bit like Hattie, I suppose, with the Wolseley, are a little bit temperamental.
Yeah.
You know.
Chris.
Sorry, the Wolseley.
Yeah.
I like you as well, of course.
The Wolseley, no, the Wolseley's her car was amazing. I don't know why you got rid of it.
Who?
You got rid of your car, did you?
Oh, God, yeah. No, I had to. I couldn't get back from anywhere. It broke down on the way there, everywhere, gigs and everything. I never got back. And then the AA refused to have me there anymore. I mean, the Automobile Association, not the Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah,
and,
well, we know both.
Yeah, so they said, I think they thought I was doing some kind of pizza delivery business or something or other. They said I was calling them out too often to be towed around the country.
Wow. But they do that.
I couldn't sell it, you know. People, when I was at the zebra crossing, people would like stop in the middle of the road and just stare at it and go, oh, what's that car? And then they give me their phone number. Loads of people at petrol stations give me their phone number, go, if you ever want to sell it, ring me up. And I actually kept these phone numbers. And when I rang them up like a couple of years later, people go, I thought I was a nuisance call or something or other, like doing double glazing. And
any of those buy it though?
I had to sell it to my agent for 50 quid in the end.
Oh my days. Chris would have bought the dashboard for that.
No, I must have asked you, Chris. I must have done.
You would have had it as an ashtray or something on the living room
Yeah.
table, you know, turned upside down.
You don't see too many of the Wolseley 1800, 1850 or something.
Right.
18. The land crab one. You don't see too many of them around now.
No.
Very rare.
Down in when I was giving Arthur Smith a lift, it broke down in a drive-in McDonald's, and the people had to push us round all the little lane bit to get out of it's right by the cashier.
Yeah.
Arthur Smith must have been absolutely peed.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was after.
Was he swearing?
Yeah, it was quite gallant, really. It was after a gig and on our way to a party, so we both missed the party, and yeah, he waited with me for the AA, and we had to push it out of the McDonald's car park because they wouldn't come on. We had to push it quite a long way because they wouldn't come on to private property.
Yeah, we're not lucky. We're not lucky with cars. You know, even when we're filming with them, remember we got locked out of car bug.
Yes,
the first scene of the day.
That was the first scene.
I mean, it's mad. The Red Dwarf car standing on the set of Coronation Street, 8 o'clock in the morning. Everyone goes, right, let's start. No one can get in the car.
Oh.
The keys are locked inside. So they get on the phone, and the producer's on the phone to the AA. You know, you can imagine he's going, yeah, we can't get into it's a smart car. Where are you? We're on the set of Coronation Street. And they're going, you can just hear the guy going, got the right one here. And it was true. And of course, they ended up not even waiting for the AA and just put a hammer through the window of the quarter glass. Vehicles and actors.
I once called the AA. I forgot I turned up. It had a thing under the dashboard where you could turn all the electrics off, and I only used it the once. I forgot that I pressed it, turned the switch.
You didn't have no electrics.
No, so it wouldn't start at all, obviously. And I called the AA, and the bloke was there about 2 hours trying to get it going. And then he found this little switch and went, I wonder if it's this. And went like that, and it started.
Well,
one of those toggle switches.
Yeah, toggle switch.
Well, it's when you, Chris, you like this. I've got a 1970 Morris Oxford.
Top car.
Yeah. Forgot to pull the choke out to start it. You know, of course, I haven't used a choke in about 25 years. So, of course, I couldn't work out why it started. Of course, I pulled the choke out.
No, yeah, you got to use the chokes on anything with those old SU carbs or whatever. You know, you got to use the. But if you haven't, because of course, you're right. Cars for the last 30 years more. About 30 years since the 80s. Haven't really used chokes actually. Some of them have, some of them haven't. But since about the 90s, no chokes. It's all.
You know, when we were just starting to drive, I mean, the first thing you went for was the choke because your car's never going to start without it.
Yeah, and of course, some people leave it on and annoy just about everyone, really, but particularly, if Extinction Rebellion were about, for example, and someone was 10 people that left their chokes on. I mean, we'd be suffocated probably, but yeah, you don't want to do that. It's bad for the engine as well. So make sure you turn your choke on.
I haven't got a car. People say, why don't you rent a car? I don't think I would know what to do. I wouldn't even know how to get in the door because they ain't got keys. They ain't got an ignition key.
Yeah, you just walk up to them now. Well, Robert's car.
It's going to be face recognition eventually, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Robert's car. Every time Robert comes to the set with a new test car, he goes, "Well, Dan, this one I don't even have to walk up to it; it comes to me." It's always a new thing with the electric car, isn't it? Have you seen, Chris? They've got new electric motorbikes now that look like old Indians and old, the old Harley skinny things. And they're electric bikes. They've just been copied. Have a look. They're hysterical.
Yeah. Oh, I might.
I don't know. You're never gonna be good with them, Chris.
So, Danny, sorry to interrupt you guys. We've had a few people writing in regards to your time with Mike on Maid Marian. I just wanted to hear about your experiences on that show together, please.
Oh, yeah. Mike. Okay, so when Mike, when he was given his props, there he is, mate. When you come out 8 o'clock in the morning out your caravan and he's looking at you, right? It's not what you want to see first thing in the morning because it was always quite disturbing, he doesn't really look like he belongs on this planet, and pretty much his personality pretty much goes with that. So Mike, Mike used to have this thing. If he sat down for too long on set, he'd fall asleep. So if I can explain it. Mike used to have what is called, Little Ron's Club. Originally, it was wood.
Little Ron's Club.
Oh, there it is. Now, you don't have to ask what it looks like, right?
That's the one. Look.
Yeah, look at it. I mean, you get up 8 o'clock in the morning, he's standing there with that in his hand, looking like Bear Grylls, looking like he hasn't eaten for about a week, right? And so... But he'd fall asleep on it like this, you see. There was a little tree stump that he used to sleep on. That was his seat. If anyone sat there, they'd get the sack. And so he would have the offensive weapon on the tree trunk like that, and he'd be asleep on it like that. And then it would be action, and it wasn't even his scene. What? Egg roll, please. We didn't know what day it was. And then he would do something like, I can't even do it. No, man, I can't. It's just, any kids watching? I remember one time he would always wake up with a different gag, right? So the one time, I tell you what, it took me about a week to stop laughing. So he was there and he was on a really groggy one this day. And he went like that. And he woke up, I was gone for about a week, but it was so innocently done. It was Mike, that killed me for about a week. That, you know, it was so disgusting.
But talking about the club, this is the club. This is polystyrene, and they gave me one in the end out of polystyrene because they gave so many injuries with the
kept
wooden one.
hitting everybody. You kept hitting everybody with the wooden one. That's why. So they took the wooden one off of him and gave him the most phallic prop I've ever seen in my life. You know, and he would run into a scene. It was like he would run into a scene. It was like he just ran in with a big dick in his hand, and you're supposed to not laugh. You know.
Mike, what were your first impressions of working with Danny?
Working with Danny? Oh God!
Yeah, what was your first impressions of him?
He was
such a wallflower.
I like Danny's style. He takes it as it comes, and you'll do it in my time. I'll get there at 9, and we'd all be waiting. Who would be waiting for Danny? Always. Right, he's here now. So he come on the set and say, "Well, what's happening then? What's this?" Yeah. And off we go. You know. But it was great fun. I love the whole show.
Very strange, you know, because Danny was never late on Red Dwarf.
Wasn't he?
I don't.
Never. Not me. Oh, look at that. So much. You know what it is? I've been so lucky that. Well, when I asked Tony about, you know, how Maid Marian happened, it's so obvious that, you know, if you look at it, he said, I basically asked my kids what they like watching, which he pretty much knew anyway. Obviously, they watched Blackadder, and the only other the other show they mentioned was Red Dwarf. And basically, you know, he wrote a show based on that kind of thing, which was, you know, sort of pretty much half, you know, Blackadder-ish, and a lot of the, you know, I mean, not to say that it's anything like Red Dwarf, but the vibe of the making of the show was very much like Red Dwarf, you know, where, you know, an ensemble cast, everyone sort of mucking in, you know, again, you know, quite difficult working conditions on Red Dwarf. It might look glamorous, you know, and the other guys will tell you, even sitting down, you know, you see Norman sitting down, sweating, just sitting down, you know, so you can imagine us running around with bazookoids and, you know, all that stuff. But also with Maid Marian, it
wasn't comfortable there, was it? We always worked hard. Constant mud.
So it's in the middle of summer, and they had to look like it was muddy. So the first thing in the morning, there was a fire engine there wetting down the forest.
Yeah.
And then till we were knee deep in mud, and then it would dry. They come down and do it again. And so then, of course, as soon as they wet it down, it was full of midges. And so literally the crew were working with the nets on and everything.
Yeah, and ticks in your legs. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've got a delivery. Oh, look.
That's nice.
It's from the other half.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Hey.
There you go.
Hey.
Look, Chris, there's Chris.
Hey.
Look, there's Chris, there's Mikey, Hattie.
Hi, Dula.
Chris.
Hi.
Hiya.
How are you doing? Is everyone having fun on this thing? Or is it hard?
Yeah.
Look, Hattie's got exactly the same gold strips as me.
In that room and go out clubbing.
My birthday.
Oh, bless.
She just asked, what is Hattie celebrating?
Yeah, but
I went, my birthday.
Oh, his birthday.
Yeah, I said she bought them slats for me. They're downstairs. When I opened the kitchen door, I walked through them like I was going on stage.
Like Las Vegas.
Yeah. More like Lost Vegas.
Lost in Vegas.
Yeah, but the big 6-0.
The big 6-0, man.
Oh my God.
Right, Mikey, well, we've both stayed at Mikey's house.
Yes.
Yeah, you all did. Children as well.
The kids were small then, weren't they?
They loved it.
All in that one bed.
Yeah.
All in that one bed. Yeah. Then we had to push you out, though. You know that one. Go to your own room, Mikey.
I'm going.
You know, I'll see you later.
I'll have a sip of your champagne now.
I was trying. Do you want to take some?
I'll just have a sip.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Sheila.
Enjoy your night out.
Okie doke. All right.
See you later.
Yeah.
Sling your up.
She's going to lock you in that room and go out.
No, there just won't be no dinner. I'll be in the garage.
Yeah.
Polishing something just to pass the time away or something, you know.
Well, it's mild enough.
Do you have to still go to the garage, Chris?
Oh, yeah, I get chucked out there all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Or I go there
and do
voluntarily.
something with a car. No.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it just takes the.
Yeah.
It's therapeutic.
You mean
Therapeutic.
You know when you just have to have that little bit of distance.
Yeah.
You know, that means
Yep.
you're banished to the garage. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Whilst
we're
you
a
watch The
fairly
Crown.
exactly. Yeah. Well, no, we've got
Whilst
you
you
know,
watch
it's
The Crown. Chris, would you mind to go and play with the car?
yeah. No, I'm out. I've got to move building.
Gone.
You know, move.
Yeah.
Move
And once
out.
they get on Netflix, that's you. You barely get dinner.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I'm watch a bit of TV, but you know, for something good, okay. But usually, I'm out somewhere, you know, saying hello to the vehicles, or upstairs reading a book.
Well, I always
A wild
find
and crazy life begins at the big 6-0.
I always find that the cars actually listen to me.
Yeah, well, we've all been there. Yeah.
So, Chris
Yeah,
and Hattie,
they're-
is there anything you would like to talk about your time on Red Dwarf with the lovely Danny John-Jules? Any fun stories you want to share,
gonna get
or
me
anything
in
you want to
trouble.
embarrass him with?
You're going to get me in trouble here.
Yeah.
Look, Dad, go on, Hattie, you go first.
No, I'll think of something as you say things. I'm only any good at interrupting. I can't do the stories
Well,
myself.
The most memorable moment from I can only guess that it's Chris's most memorable moment. And when I say most memorable, that could be either or. It could be either the funny thing or the most horrific thing that you've ever seen in your life. But I can't tell you the story, but all I can say is wardrobe and bread.
In Manchester. In Manchester.
That kind of
In
wasn't.
Manchester.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Where does that rank in your?
It wasn't in the studio.
In case anyone don't know, he kept his sandwiches in the wardrobe.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
No,
Well,
that
the thing
was.
is, one that ranks for me in the entire career that I've experienced, and I've met some freaks in this career, right? But that was one of the most horrific moments I think I'm ever going to experience in my life. And if I told you this story, me and Chris would have to leave the country. He laughs, but he knows it's
Look,
true.
it was hilarious, but it was just a wild night out, wasn't it?
Absolutely. But then again, we were in Manchester.
Indeed.
And
we were
nobody
probably
knows a night
due.
out like Manchester.
We were probably due in the studio about, I don't know, 3
10 minutes
hours
time.
from that moment.
Yeah, we were probably, the car was downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert was probably already 2 hours in the studio in makeup.
Exactly.
Robert's looking
Yeah.
at his watch going, where are they?
Yeah.
Robert was getting up, but we were going to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We crossed him many a time in the hotel lobby.
But
I don't know
no,
what time it was
no.
in the morning, but it wasn't light yet.
Danny, you know, you the on a not serious note, but Danny has been great to work with. He has been an absolute delight to a fantastic creative force, and you know, he has been inspirational. Rimmer and Kat have probably had not as many scenes together as probably we would have liked over the years, but every time it's been absolutely a pleasure to work with them.
Well, as I said, you know, for me, you know, you got to remember, we were these young guys, you know, we were thrown into this sitcom thing that, you know, bigger stars than us have had problems getting a sitcom to run, you know. And so we were all very nervous you know, knowing that huge stars have only had like one series and then they're off. And, you know, here comes these guys. There wasn't really a typical inverted commas actor among us. You know, we were pretty much all entertainers. And, you know, I had to learn on the job. I mean, these guys were more experienced in television than I was. And so my thing was, you know, the first series, second series of Red Dwarf, I was on a learning curve. And you know what they say in it? It's the company you keep. So everything I learned as far as structure, jokes, gags, the building of gag, all that kind of stuff, which you could never, I don't care what college you go to, you can't learn that stuff. And you really do nurture that on the job. And, you know, by the time the guys had got to us, they'd already done Spitting Image, Jasper Carrot, you know, they'd done all this stuff. And, you know, and Red Dwarf was where they wanted to let the exhaust fumes out, you know, get into overdrive and do it their way. And that's what Red Dwarf was. They were just as nervous as us. They were just as scared as us. You know, they've gone from hit shows, #1 records, and then, you know, everything is put into this show. They tried to cast it with actors before, and they went through many guises, and we landed with these 4 guys. You know, then we got pulled because of the electric strike. We thought we're never going to get this show done. They must have been pulling their hair out. And then to be recommissioned by the time we'd finished, you know, 2.5 episodes, when we finally got to do it, that to me was the reward already. I mean, I really do think that just after hearing that we had a second series, I was satisfied if we never did another one, because we weren't knocked off after 1 series. And getting 2 series in those days, you were doing all right, you know. And so, as I said, for me, I learned more from those guys than they learned from me. I can tell you that, because, you know, as I said, they were much... Well, no, the dancing I was good. The dancing I was good.
Yeah.
You know? But as far as, you know, making television, I was all ears, you know. And so for me, as I said, I got more out of it, you know, from them than they got from me in the early days. You know, maybe towards the end, we then basically were bouncing off of each other. And Mike will tell you the same thing was with Maid Marian. You know, we went through all those same processes, you know, on Maid Marian. And what it boils down to is each individual character and everybody getting to the finishing line together. And that's what happened on both of these shows. When we went in there, I mean, our characters were just, oh my days. I mean, you think about reading that script for the first time, any character. It was the same when I read Maid Marian. I said, a Cockney Rastafarian in Somerset. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, it just doesn't make no kind of sense. A sort of humanoid cat. I mean, it was just like, what are they talking about? So for me, as I said, I learned more from those guys. You know, look, I went from Tony Robbins, from Grant Doug Naylor to Tony Robinson, you know, as writers, you know, just, and I was so lucky to be doing both of those jobs at the same time.
Yeah, well,
you couldn't,
I think
write
for all of us, we were.
But they did.
It was a learning curve for all of us, really, in terms of Red Dwarf. You know, it was a very unusual script, and we were all, you know, finding our feet. You know, right at the start, and as you say, over the decades, you would hope that after 33 years, whatever it is, we'd find it easier. The chemistry would develop.
Oh, but it wasn't easy. You know, it's never going to be easy, because you've got to remember, at the same time of, you know, trying to work out, 1, what the show is, 2, who these characters are, how do they blend. You know, we've also got to know who each other are, as, you know, not the character, but the person. You know, we'd never met each other before, and so we were getting to know each other at the same time as, you know, getting to know the characters under a great deal of stress. You know,
and then, teamwork as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, teamwork was definitely the answer.
Be good, so you try and do your best and help each other out.
Yeah, yeah, because it's hard work. I mean, you know, no, I don't think any show like Maid Marian had been done like that. You know, the fact that all our extras were all one Amdram theatre company. So every single extra ever in every episode of Maid Marian were the same extras. So they were the villagers, and they were all actors, you know, amateur actors. And so they would be directed separately by the first. When we got to the set, the extras were already rehearsed. Well, the essays, in those days they called them extras, but the essays, they were already rehearsed. When we went in, you'd be seeing villagers walking past you doing stuff. Like, oh God, I didn't even realize that was going to happen. I turned around one time. Do you remember one of them was having a wee in the back of the shop? They were doing method. It was like, hold on, who's that? Robert De Niro? You know? And they did all the song and dance numbers. Wayne Folks choreographed them, who I worked with in Cats. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I've been lucky to be in 2 great ensemble casts, and basically that's where I cut my teeth and learned pretty much everything I know about television. Go on, say something, Chris. Not you, Chris Barry.
You, the host.
Yeah, no. So we've got another guest for this evening. Our MCon's very own Lee Wallace wants to come and say a few words.
Oh, not
so he's just
Lee
getting
Wallace.
ready. Yeah.
Hey,
head
Lee.
honcho himself.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Happy birthday, Danny.
Thank you very much, sir.
I got some pink stuff as well, look.
Look at that.
Cheers.
Do you know what?
Ching.
You know, a lot of people don't realise how I met Lee. You know, I got a message.
This is a good story.
I got a message once, you know, some little young photographer wanted to take my picture. And our first thing I went, I've heard that before. And this is showbiz. And,
well, it actually worked out well, that did, didn't it?
Yeah, no, it was that, because I was doing a favour for a guy, and I was just, you know, going to appear in his little film that he was doing. And we were filming in this hotel, and he kept, you know, Lee kept asking. I said, all right, mate, look, I'm going to be here filming this thing. If you can get there, we'll do it. And, you know, just stick it up. Anyway, he got there, and he, you know, after a few little, he can fill you in on the little bits in between. But basically, I would do a scene, run out to the foyer, and, you know, we'd sit in the corner. All it was, I was in the corner of the hotel lobby in a corner, and he set up a light, and he did this series of photographs. Mate, it was like every single person that saw them went, wow. And I thought, how did he get away with that? You know, I mean, there was one point he had made every sort of amateur mistake, like not putting film in the camera, and also, you know, why someone, you know, all that kind of stuff was going on. And the one, I think he shot maybe 10 photos, and literally nearly every one of them was left. In fact, this is the one of them. It's one of.
Can't believe you've still got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was crazy, because what you didn't mention.
Yeah.
What you didn't mention, Danny, is when I got all the way up to Chester, I had to go and knock on a random hotel door. And I knocked on this hotel door thinking, what is going on? And the door just opened, and like about 5 people were behind this door, and all of them sort of like popped their head round like, hello, all at the same time, hello. And then Danny pops around the corner of this hotel room in a dressing gown. It looked like I walked onto the set of a Blue movie. It really did. It was so dodgy.
I did say.
It was the dodgiest thing. And then, yeah, me and my assistant went and loaded a camera up. And my assistant that I took on the day loaded up a medium format camera, all with the film RAM back to front. So none of the photos came out. And the 30 or so photos I took on a digital camera were the ones that came out. Yeah.
And you know, like that one where you just go, God, I've only got, like, you know, a few bam, 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 about 6 out of the 10 were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they were the best ones.
They and you want to see the picture he took of Suggsy.
Oh yeah.
And I had to literally drag him there to take. I said, "Take it, man, take it." You know?
I had actually meeting Chris as well. That was that. I don't know if
Chris. He done Chris as well. Did you?
Well,
you?
I met Chris on the on one of his TV shows. Do you remember the green Bentley that you was doing a TV show on, Chris? Like the oldest Bentley.
Oh yes, yeah.
I met you. I met you as well.
Was it on Massive Machines or something like that, or a documentary?
Yeah, we went to a production lunch as well, and like there must have been 30 people on this production crew, and the only chair that was left was the one next to Chris, and I was like, oh my god, I've got to eat a dinner next to Chris Barry. I was like petrified, but yeah,
it wasn't so bad, was it?
I've been doing that for 32 years.
Or his eating habits that bad that you didn't want to sit next to Chris at dinner?
My eating habits, yeah.
Always like a bit of space when I'm eating, you know.
When we go to lunch, we have to wear bibs. It's not for us, it's for Chris.
I was just worried Chris was going to nick my chips. That was all I.
Yes, look over there.
And I believe, Lee, you've got a photo of you and Danny from that day.
Oh wow!
Or
You're joking.
A photo of you and Lee.
This.
Is it the same one?
I've never seen that.
The photo behind you, Lee.
Oh, this one, right? I thought Eddie was going to put it up.
Oh, that's
there
nice.
You go.
Yeah.
It's true because I've got the same hat on. Oh God, yeah.
Oh.
Lee,
years ago.
Lee, you look like that guy in Lost. Everybody that's laughing knows who I mean.
Yeah, thanks, man.
In fact, I met him at a convention.
I've lost weight since then. It's because Chris
better looking than you, mate. But you know what? The funny thing was, although obviously he's got an eye for photography, you know, it's funny that he now does sci-fi conventions. It's so crazy.
You're to blame for this. You are to blame.
I always get nervous now. If he's ever doing a show, I get nervous. You know that one. If he screws up, he's going to say it's my fault.
Shall I tell everybody the story of that? So
go on then.
So, well, I was doing the old photography for a few years, and Danny kept on saying you should do a sci-fi convention, and I was like, I've got my studio, I've got too much going on, I haven't got time to do a sci-fi convention. And he says, well, why don't we do a Red Dwarf evening? The four of us get up on stage, and we'll do an evening. And you remember that, Chris? It was in Nottingham.
In Nottingham, in that bar.
Yeah, we did
a bar. Yeah,
that evening, and then the evening went really well. We sold out all the tickets in 15 minutes, I think it was, 400 tickets. And Danny was like, I told you. And I was like, okay. And then after the event, he said, I'm doing Wales Comic Con in 2 weeks. Why don't you come down and have a look? And that will convince you to do a Comic Con event in Nottingham. So off I went down to Wales, 4,000 people around this car park, all queued up waiting to go into this little sports hall, and I'm like, what is going on here? This is nuts. And then I saw this big smile walking across the car park, and it was Danny, big smile on his face, going, I told you, like this. And I'm like, okay, undid the window. Yeah, you might have something.
Now you said there was 4,000 people there, right?
And that was just
tell them how many was there on the first show and who was there.
In Nottingham.
That shows you what a big draw I am.
Yeah, in Nottingham we had about 10,000 people.
No,
up the street.
Not that one. I'm talking about Wales Comic Con.
Oh, I don't know.
And James, we had his first show. 150 people. 150 people in a huge university. And then when the Red Dwarf cast got there, how many people were there, Lee?
I didn't go to that one. You have to tell me.
About 10,000.
Can't argue with dwarfers.
That
No.
was in 10 years, I think.
So
So
the
you
very
know, but
in Nottingham,
but
we
he was a young kid
yeah.
as well, wasn't he? He was a young kid.
sold out 5 times over. I don't know if you remember that.
The police
That's
came
funny,
and told
Nottingham.
everyone to go home.
That was crazy.
The
That was
police was
absolutely
it was a riot.
It was.
Wasn't Chris was there, wasn't he? Was Chris at Nottingham?
Yeah, because there were people. Weren't the people queuing outside?
Yeah,
With
there was,
tickets.
there
There
was
was people
literally
outside with tickets.
We thought it was a riot.
when you hear people saying they queued across Nottingham, that was the literal sense of they queued across Nottingham. The police were blocking off roads down Maid Marian Way and everything. It was nuts.
Maid Marian Way.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go, Mikey.
All connected.
Have you done Nottingham, Mikey?
Hey?
Have you done Nottingham, MCon?
No, I've worked at the theatre there.
Ah,
Yeah.
but you've done theatre everywhere.
I haven't done Nottingham Con. I've done
You've
that
done
one.
the RSC. You've done the RSC, mate. You know, we would be, if you came on to Red Dwarf, we would be in awe of you because you've done the RSC.
At that first MCon one, Ben Miller was at that one, wasn't he? Before you knew him from Death in Paradise.
No, it was during Death in Paradise. No,
Was it
no,
not
it-
first-
no,
the
no,
first
I
MCon
lied.
one,
It was
wasn't it?
after he'd left Death in Paradise.
Yeah.
Ben was on last week.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah,
We were Ben on
but
last
he was
week,
at that MCon because of Primeval though.
That's right.
Oh, I'm getting chills down my spine.
Oh, mate, I tell you what. And there's everyone trying to keep them on the pavement.
Oh,
What
my
was it?
God.
What was it called? The Albert Hall, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah. Albert Hall. Yeah.
Yeah, and people thought it might be the size of the Royal Albert Hall in London, but
Yeah, there's probably a few people waiting out there
yeah, waiting outside the Royal Albert Hall.
in cosplay.
That was a fun one though.
Yeah,
Just
can you
for all
imagine they're
the-
waiting outside? All these cosplays come along, and of course, it's the opera Turandot, and everyone's in Mickey Mouse, and along comes someone dressed as Arnold Rimmer,
Yeah.
singing the
Says,
Rimmer song.
hello, I'm Chris Barry. Can I come in and sign some autographs, please?
all marching through the glitterati. Arnold. Hold on, who's it? What are we? Nottingham.
Yes, halcyon days.
Talking about sort of like introductions and stuff. Actually, do you remember? Chris, the panel that we did in Nottingham at the bar? Do you remember who was late for that? So there was yourself, Robert, and Craig on stage, and we were all like, "Well, we've got to get going." And Danny's like sending me text saying, "Oh yeah, I'm like 15 minutes away." And then he pulls up after you guys have been on stage for a good 10 minutes, going, "I thought we were meeting at Hooters," with a suitcase underneath his arm.
Danny has perfected the late entrance like no one else.
On the way there, I ran out to bring him in, and he's saying, "Just give me a name of somewhere dodgy in Nottingham." And I'm like, "It is me you're talking to. I don't know anywhere dodgy." I went, Hooters, straight in.
Got a big laugh though. Got a big laugh.
Got a really big laugh. That was brilliant.
And you didn't get paid for the gag either.
Didn't you? Oh, I don't know.
That's horrible, isn't it? But you know what? As I said, it's a big. That's a big risk you took there, man. You gave up a career, and I don't know if I'd be that brave to just say, right, I'm going to change career now, especially at this age.
I gave up everything. I gave up my studio and everything, just because some crazy actor from Red Dwarf kept on pestering me to do comic books.
Okay, so now just imagine if you was a photographer, name some of the stars you've met on doing sci-fi that you've personally dealt with.
Actors that I've worked on
Just
photography.
any names, stars that you've had to.
But you could still take their photos, see? You haven't lost them back. You could still take their photos, couldn't you?
No, yeah, well, I could do, but to be honest, I mean, up until the pandemic, I was a little bit busy because MCon's one of them things where it actually takes up a hell of a lot of time, and then even after the weekend of it finishing, it takes a week to sort of like put everything away. So yeah, it is a crazy one. But people I've worked with, bloody hell. Well, because of you, like, let me take your photo, Danny. I've worked with people like Paul McCartney, Suggs from Madness. That you actually organised that one. Loads of people. The list's as long as my arm. I couldn't name them all. And that was...
I mean, what I was trying to get at was that, you know what it's like as a photographer to get to shoot those kind of people. Pretty much, you have to have been in the game for, donkeys. Because they like particular photographers that they're used to. They'll ask for a photographer. So it's really hard to get in as a photographer into the sort of the upper ends of the business, because it's always about, who have you shot before? They
always ask that.
Yeah. But as I said, I take my hat off to you, mate. You took a big risk and you're still there. How many years now? 10 years?
No, it's nearly 15 since the first shoot.
Wow.
Yeah. So and MCon's been going, I think next year's our 8th year. So
well, that's how it goes, isn't it? Because you basically, when we went that day that Sudsy came out as a favor, he didn't have to come there, and then out of that, he did me a favor, I did you a favor.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
So that's how it goes. But as I said, Sugsy's got that good spirit about him, though. He's all up for mucking in and trying to pass down a bit of the glory that he's achieved over all these years. And and for him to when you took that photo, the guy was on the phone to his wife, and there's you snapping away at him, and he's on the phone to his missus, who's just arrived back at the airport from Japan, and he's like, but yeah, darling, and he goes, that photo is amazing. Why don't you put it up and show them?
I think Eddie's got it in the group somewhere. I'm just going to.
It's absolutely amazing.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, obviously, oh look, you wait. Oh, that's not Suggsy.
No, it doesn't look a thing like him.
We're both Chelsea supporters, though, and Chris Berry.
Oh, I didn't know that. Chris, you're a Chelsea supporter.
He's a Chelsea man.
Yeah, it has been known. I'm a little. I don't know. Football and me, that's a discussion. That's another discussion. But I did have a good phase of going to Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, but Chris, you introduced me to the cat's daughter at your house at a party.
Yes, that is right.
Peter
I think she
Bonetti's
worked
daughter.
for one of the agencies that I was with. Yeah.
And then I met
Peter
her
Bonetti's
dad.
daughter. Yeah.
I met her dad about 10 years later.
Yes.
Got a picture of me and Peter Bonetti, the two cats. And if you're a Chelsea fan, Chris, you can imagine, for me, that was it. I didn't have to, I didn't need anyone else. That was
Absolutely,
it. Me and Peter Bonetti, the cat.
Yeah, you got it. Number one, Ozzy, it wouldn't have worked with Peter Osgood, would it?
No, big Ozzy Osgood now.
But the cat, no, Peter Bonetti was he was the cat.
He was the cat. But he wasn't the original cat goalkeeper. The original cat goalkeeper was a guy called Bert Williams, who played for Wolverhampton Wanderers. He was the cat before the cat OBE. Guess who told me that? Susie Perry told me that, because that's her football team. There's me bragging about the cat. The cat. She goes, that weren't the first cat.
Well, every era has a cat. You're the era. Yeah, you're the cat now.
That's it. I've gone after some great footballers. It's a shame that I can't play.
Can I just say that I have a bit of a day tomorrow?
No, listen, Chris, mate. Before you get banished to that garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm driving actually to the East Midlands tomorrow. So there you go. In a particular,
there you go. Well,
particular city.
And you can't decide which car to go in. That's the problem, is it?
Well, I'm going to have to load it with a lot of stuff for a certain person. Who
bring an overnight bag, Chris? If you're coming up here, don't worry about anything else.
Well, I'm going to be with the better half and a certain person who's going to spend 3 terms at one of the fine educational establishments in that part of the world. What they're going to be doing, I don't know. But I have to say to Dan, happy birthday, buddy.
Chris, always a pleasure, mate.
And I will hopefully see you soon, in some shape or form.
I'm sure we'll be sort of at some do or convention or maybe on set.
Let's keep in touch. Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Thank you very much for joining us, Chris.
Lovely to see you, Hattie. Mike, nice to see you. Ashley, take care, sir.
Thank you, sir. See you in 2 weeks.
See you soon. And Lee, we'll be in touch. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see you on the 27th, Chris.
Sorry, buddy.
We'll see you on the 27th.
27th, I'll be there.
He'll be firing on.
I'll see you then, Chris.
5
Thank
of
you very
the
much.
6 cylinders.
Well, I'll try and get this 6th to join in. Believe me. Take care, buddies. Bye.
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 Say hi to the clan.
Bye.
What a lovely.
And then there was 5.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Wow, that is a beautiful photo.
That's great. That is really
Hattie,
nice.
that should be in a museum. I'm sorry.
Yeah. National Portrait Gallery.
That room was where
That's their offices. That's the Madness offices.
Yeah, that was where they first got together and they rehearsed everything. So that room's got a lot of history behind it.
It was their office. And look, do you know what? You know the thing about photographers. Lee was being so polite, and you can see the intensity in that shot that he's on the phone to his missus.
It's real.
It's real. And you can look at his face and know that is not a set-up shot.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he hasn't seen his missus for a while, and she was coming back that day, and he'd come out on the day that his missus was flying back into the country, and he came out and did that. That is unbelievable.
Yeah,
Flying back from Japan, wasn't she?
Yeah. And, you know, there he was doing a favour.
Mm.
Well, I'm sure he was glad about it when he saw the photo.
Oh, he said, I'm going to use that in my one-man show, because, you know, he did a one-man show, and he was like, I'm going to use this for my one-man show, and this was before he'd even written it.
That's right. So...
I've found when I've had photo shoots, it's often the last one. I know that sounds like after you've done the good one, you don't do anymore, but it's not. It's like they've said, you know, we're running out of time. And it's often the last one that's kind of the best sometimes.
It's always the one you don't plan the
By
right way.
that time, you're kind of
just going, right, or you're just so tired by then, or like, you know.
Yeah.
Freezing cold or something. It's always something by then, and it gives it an extra level.
Yeah, it's like doing 10 takes and you realize that you had it in the first one.
Yeah.
And you've just wasted half an hour of everybody's time trying to get it better.
Yeah.
Hattie, what you've got to have some good stories about filming with Danny. Have you got any that you know have jogged or come to mind since everybody else was talking about? Go on, Danny. You've got to have a few that involve Hattie as well.
Oh, but the thing about Hattie is, I love that
was my best mate on set. I always felt that.
You know, but you know, the thing is that all these people, to me, I mean, Hattie, I don't know if you know, but Hattie is a very, very clever and well-educated lady. And what people perceive Hattie as is not really who she is. I mean, you know, you'd be losing if you went there sort of educationally. But, you know, again, you know, all of these guys, very clever. I learned probably more about the world and, you know, all the subjects I should have concentrated on at school. I probably learned more on the Red Dwarf set in 32 years than I would have probably if I'd gone on to university and all the rest of it. because you know Rob and Doug, their general knowledge is absolutely phenomenal.
It's
all the levels of knowledge in Red Dwarf as well, in the writing, all the levels of knowledge.
The levels of knowledge, and you know, but also those discussions that happen about the script, you know, when they start to get into the explanation of what they're actually talking about, and you know, all of those sessions that the fans have no kind of inkling of, you know, unless you've been in that room at that time. You know, with the guys legging it out to the sort of little office to go and rewrite a scene while we rehearse another one. And then you go back and everyone gets around the table and reads the new scene like little kids with a new Christmas present, you know. And then everyone going, yeah, oh yeah, it's better, you know. And that's a process that not every show has the time to do. We haven't got the time to do it.
Yeah, God, that'd be so rare now.
Yeah.
To even see the writers. A lot of people do shows they've never even met the writers, have they?
Yeah. Well, you imagine, Hattie, have you ever been on a show when the writer's been in the room every day, all day? You know, every day, all day, the writers are there.
Red Dwarf, I remember that one.
That's it. I can't remember, you know. Yeah, as you say, I sometimes you never meet the writer.
Yeah.
But they're on hand to change
I
it.
really haven't done enough to compare, but I know it's very, very rare.
Yeah, but you know, again, you know, all of these things, you know, get wind up together to make the unit that is Red Dwarf. And I don't know how that process could be repeated in a different show. I don't know.
Because they started writing for us lot in the end, didn't they?
Absolutely. They would just sort of soak up these characters. Even to Craig, nicking your sausage, squirting the tomato ketchup on the table and dipping your sausage in it and eating it. All of that stuff that Craig used to actually do ended up in the show.
And lifting his plate up and licking his plate with the mash. I think that's where that mash came from. And that one.
I've got a question for you, Hattie. You're the one that's been on the comedy circuit. I used to run a little comedy club in Nottingham for a short period, and some of the most intelligent people I've ever met have been comedians. Is that literally across the board for comedians, or is there a few thick ones that are quite popular as well? I don't know.
I think it is. I think it is like that.
Well, you can go back to people like
I had someone on the radio the other day who was a comic, was writing stuff, and it was comedian, I didn't know. But he said that, like a thick comic, or but would just think of the first thing, and it will be the thing that everyone else would think of. So you have to chuck that away, then you chuck away the second thing, and then you chuck away the third thing, and you get to about the fifth thing of that one incident or that one, you know, observation, so that you chuck away the first four because everyone else would think of them. So he was saying it of Twitter and jokes going round, you know, that you have to be a lot more clever because you can't just think the first thing that everyone else would think of.
Yeah, you got to be up to date with all the topics in the world and things like that. You have to have the jokes, or otherwise you're going to be stuck in the past.
Sometimes you feel you should have a researcher, you know.
You've got to be up on everything that's happening now. I mean, that was what Spitting Image was, and the guys wrote about today, and they had all that experience of coming up with stuff that is relevant today, and so they had to be writing about today all the time. And for me, Spitting Image was just amazing on that level.
Absolutely. Colin's made a comment as well. He says comedians are like modern day philosophers. I think that's
really lovely.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're telling pretty much stories of, you know, they could be telling a story about a caveman, and the next joke could be about a spaceman. You know, so there's no boundaries, is there, on topics?
Yeah, you're giving your own world view, like a philosopher would be.
Yeah, so you can tell a comedian.
The original one.
You know, you can tell a comedian, why don't you go write something about car mechanics, and they'll come up with, you know, an act just based on the car mechanic or car jokes, or, you know, and that's basically what the good ones can do, I think. that can just write about anything.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Something that was mentioned.
It's almost
something that was
important to have an
mentioned.
attitude.
So after you, Hattie.
Sorry. What?
After you, Hattie. Carry on. Sorry.
Oh, no, I said sometimes it's more important to have an attitude about something, and then you get to the funny. Your attitude.
Right. Yeah. You've
Just
got to have a meaning.
You know, if you haven't
A
got
meaning,
in a sense, then you're not easily going to come to a cutting comic repartee comment. You know.
Yeah. You don't have to have a big banging gag at the end of it. If you know,
Less so nowadays. Actually, it seems.
So
yeah, most people.
We've got a comment from Liz Perkins saying that I introduced my kids to Red Dwarf when they were bored in the 6 weeks holidays, and my youngest was about 6 or 7. Within an hour, everybody was a Smeg head.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, a lot of parents are being called Smeg heads, you know, and they haven't got the guts to tell the kids. If you tell them you can't say that, they go, "Why?" And you can't say that. Yeah, but why, Dad? Well, you just can't say it. But what do you mean? You've got to have an explanation. You know, they say you got to have an explanation. You can't explain that to your kid. Well, you can, but not if they're 12.
I think there's things on YouTube as various of us have had to explain that at Comic-Con live. I think you can find those on YouTube. How we've had to explain it.
So the only question I was going to have mentioning Comic-Cons again, since that one mentioned earlier on, is about cosplay. I've not seen. Have you seen many of your characters ever done in cosplay, especially Mike or Hattie?
Who, me?
Or all of you? Mike, have you ever seen a little Ron?
I think I've seen everyone.
I've seen Ewoks, little Ewoks.
Oh,
yeah, but that's you. But they're just doing you, aren't they? But
yeah.
I know you're in your costume, but you're the king of costume. You are the king of costume.
I was, yeah.
So I think we need to get out there that we need a little Ron and a Maid Marian cosplay group somewhere at an event.
I'll tell you what, that would be great. That would be hysterical.
But I've been in lots of other things, Anders and things like
Can you
this.
imagine the variations of your club that would turn up?
One character I did play, which is always popular, and it comes up on YouTube loads of times, is Men Without Hats video, the safety dance. That one.
Yeah.
And that is in the MTV's top 20, I think, you know. And we shot all that
William loves you, boy.
in one day. And I'd never even heard of the record when I went down there. I just drove down there. It's in Somerset again. It's called West End. And I met this Ivan, who was the leader of the Men Without Hats. And he said, "Oh, this is what we're going to record or film." And he gave me a cassette, and I played it in the car and just listened to it, and it had quite a good rhythm to it. So I thought, yeah, that's okay for movement and stuff. And we just did it, and shot it. Did it all in one day.
You know, I just said, again, Michael, you don't realise how many people think that, you do, because they all say it on that documentary. Under the Radar, I don't know if you could ever see it. It's a great documentary about Mikey. And you can tell all the people. You're talking about DOPs of Star Wars and all kinds of people. It's nuts, and everybody said the same thing about Mikey. It's just so great to work with him, and he's so funny. And it's like I'm hearing basically my own voice. People are saying things that I constantly say about Mikey, which is, that's the kind of person you need on a film set.
I always say, to kids I work with, you've got to have discipline in yourself. And that is to be on the site on time, Danny. And things like that. When you're on the call sheet, it says you've got to be there at 8, you be there at 8, right? If you're on stage, you don't touch anything. You don't touch any props which are on the table, because they're set there for the guy to grab when he comes off to take on again, and things like that, which kids tend to touch, play with, and and so you just got to have discipline and just bide your time and sit and wait till it's your turn. It's gone.
It's very good. None of that
That
was
happens.
on Red
No,
Dwarf.
when my phone rings, that happens.
All right.
Somebody wishing you happy birthday.
Oh,
There we go again.
It's not me.
is,
No,
he
it's
not,
Can't talk about that.
is he doing? Are you doing all this on your phone? No.
Yeah, on my phone.
Oh, are you? Oh, right.
Okay.
Well, it's working well, I must say.
We are going to need to wrap up soon, guys and girls.
Yeah, I've got
Oh, I've still got 47 of these left.
So just anything else that...
You know, to be honest.
Hang on, Ashley. You'll get there.
Smoke, the smoke. Lucky I ain't got a smoke alarm.
So, Mike, is there anything else that you'd like to say to Danny this evening, please?
Oh, I've said it all before. He knows this, and he's a very old mate, and I love working with him. And is he talking or not? Can't hear him.
Yeah, Danny, we can't hear you.
Yeah, don't
Can't
comment.
hear him.
I can't hear you. It's not worth it.
Can't hear us either.
Somebody's muted Danny.
Are you muted? Are you muted?
It wouldn't be alive if something didn't go wrong with Danny's camera.
It's very true.
Oh, is it? I'll turn my sound up just in case it's me.
No,
It's not
No, it's
you.
not you, Hattie. Oh,
no, it's not the computer.
Oh, it's falling down the stairs.
cool.
What's that? Is he talking to us? Or is he on the
Yeah.
phone?
No, it's not.
Oh my god.
So you turn 60 in technology, it just snaps out of your grasp.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
We'll get back on the dial-up.
Trying to run a bath maybe or something.
Yeah.
Get away.
Do you know? I reckon it's. I reckon it's producers of strictly just.
I think it's that drink he's drinking.
It's
Yeah.
probably gold. It's probably comedy gold what he's telling us. He's probably just admitting to some
Yeah.
murders or something, some
We
treasures
should
buried
go
somewhere.
up and then,
Anyway,
oh, you are a one.
But yeah.
Danny,
As long as you can hear us, Danny.
Can you
Yeah.
hear us?
Okay.
Oh no, is he gone now?
We're just gonna get him rebooted back in. So hopefully it shouldn't be too long.
Well, I hope they're nice boots because he won't want any old boot.
they're nice and shiny, sparkly
Nice
ones.
shiny boots, leopard skin boots, probably with a good heel.
But at least we managed to keep Holly on the screen. That's the main thing, you know.
Yeah,
We
that's
got one.
thing. I was glad in that show I didn't have to walk and talk at the same time because I wasn't trained either. So just sitting there and facing the front was perfect. When I did a Jonathan Creek where I had to walk around with cards and a bunch of bananas round a audience in a club, and every time I walked straight at the camera because I didn't know how to avoid it.
How's that?
Are you back?
Am I back?
You are, sir.
yeah.
You know what? Typical computing it. Switch it off, put it back on again.
Oh yeah.
Right,
Never
now,
learn, do you?
We said the
Danny.
nicest things about you, Danny. Such nice things.
I'm just going to
You
say
liar,
cheerio.
Hattie. Mikey,
Happy
I'll see you
birthday.
later, mate.
Enjoy the rest
Nice
of the
to see
evening.
ya.
And to all your other guys on here. Nice
See you.
talking to you all.
It's been a pleasure,
And-
Mike.
and-
Thank you very much for coming.
And if you're going to,
Lee, I'll be in touch.
and
All
if you're
right.
going to that,
Definitely.
if you're going to
Check.
that funny club down the road, right, that you go to, say hello to everyone for me.
Yeah, I will do. I'll give
You know that
you a call over
that,
the
that,
weekend.
that little cinema club you go to.
Yeah. All
The
the
one
best,
with no
mate.
fire exits.
Hello, everybody.
Pleasure, sir. Thank you.
See you, Mike.
See you, Mikey.
Bye, Mike.
It's the red
Hattie,
button,
would
Mikey.
you like to...
Would I like to go?
No. Would you like to say anything? Would you like to just say a few words about our wonderful cat here?
Oh, he's
Yeah.
such a sweetheart. I love Danny. He's lovely. It's great
But
fun.
Hattie,
He's
you're lovely as well.
Aw.
You're lovely as well.
I do feel you was my best mate on Red Dwarf. And then after that, well, after I was in that one episode, we went to Montreal Comedy Festival, didn't we?
That's right. Me and you were jet setting. Like I'd actually just met you. Next thing we're up, laughing and joking on a plane.
Yeah. And
that was the one, and that was you, Joe Brand, and Craig pretty much stole the show. You got all the reviews, didn't you?
They said I was a cross between Stephen Wright and Emo Phillips.
I know, who was there performing, by the way.
Yeah. I know. I only started doing stand-up the year before. It was all a bit mad. That 1988, I would love to be my Groundhog Day year because it was so fantastic.
That was a great trip. How many? Yeah. There were so many people on that. Frank Skinner, do you remember he was on that?
I don't know if he was on the same
Frank
one.
Skinner, there was so many of them.
Yeah.
Just Paris was that? Was that just Paris? Yeah, I think definitely I've got one. I've definitely got a photo with Frank Skinner on in one of the Montreal runs. I can't remember. That was about 1987. Yeah, I can't remember how many times I've been. Can you imagine how many times you've been to Montreal?
But Hattie, it's been a lovely pleasure having you this evening. Thanks for joining us.
Fantastic, Hattie. Nice. It's funny, isn't it? It's the first time I've taken Hattie to a party, and it's been online.
Yeah. Well, apart from the ones we can't mention.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's one of those bread stories.
Oh, yeah.
We'd have to leave the country.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a pleasure, guys. And I'm going to go now and do some serious drinking.
Yeah, you still got 2.5 hours of your birthday there.
I've still got half a bottle of champagne to drink.
So have a great happy birthday, Danny. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Hattie,
as always.
Lee, Chris.
Cheers, darling. Hope to see you in real life soon.
And we'll see you soon. Ciao.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Happy birthday. And everyone else, if you'd like to subscribe to our MCon channel, my next live is on the 27th with Chris Barry. So